No more healthcare workers. UK slams door on foreign nurses. And why?
At this very moment, if you were a nurse living in Africa, Asia, or the Caribbean, and your dream is to secure a sponsored job to move to the United Kingdom, the reality has become extremely challenging. I have to be brutally honest with you. Your chance of achieving that dream of getting that visa sponsorship before you even pack your bags is currently about 1%. It is a sad and hard truth, but it must be said. Things are tough. The game has completely changed, and the UK that welcomed nurses with open arms just a few years ago is gone. Why has this happened? What has caused this door to slam shut? And is there even a slim pathway left for those who are determined to make it here? I am not going to sugarcoat anything. Let me explain exactly what is going on. Just 6 years ago, the situation in the UK was the polar opposite of what it is today. The UK was in a state of desperate need. You would walk down the street and see posters in hospital windows. Refer a nurse, get £200. I would clock in for my shift and a message would flash on the screen. Refer a friend, get a bonus. They were desperate. They were actively hunting for foreign-trained nurses. All you needed to do was pass your IELTS and your CBT in your home country. There was even a time when you didn't need to have passed your IELTS before arriving. You could come with just your CBT, get a job contract that was pending your final exams, and they would support you to sit your IELTS and your OSCE right here in the UK. Agencies were the gatekeepers to this golden era. You would pass your exams, contact an agency, and they would line up interviews with NHS trusts and private employers. If you impressed them, a contract was yours. And it wasn't just a job, it was a complete relocation package. They paid for your flight, they provided free accommodation for the first few weeks or months. They gave you food vouchers. Some trusts even gave you pocket money to help you settle in before your first paycheck. They paid for your OSCE training, which is an expensive and intensive course. Many even refunded your IELTS exam fee when you showed them the receipt. Every train ticket you took for OSCE training was refunded. Life was good, because they needed carers. They were desperate. Fast forward to today, and that world has vanished. My comment sections are filled with questions. I hear nurses from Nigeria are banned. Is it true recruitment has stopped? What is really happening? The reality is that the system has collapsed for direct international recruitment, and it's because of a perfect storm of 3 major factors. The first factor is the issue of ethical recruitment and the WHO Red List. The World Health Organization identified a list of countries with critical shortages of their own healthcare workers. The UK, as a signatory to this code of ethical practice, agreed not to actively recruit from these countries using agencies. When this first happened, people found a workaround. You couldn't use an agency, but you could apply directly to the trusts. And for a while, people still came in droves. But now the ethical argument has deepened. Many trusts and organizations have decided that even accepting direct applications from these red list countries is unethical because it still contributes to the brain drain from nations that are already struggling. This has choked off a major supply line. The second, and perhaps the biggest factor, is that the UK is broke. The country is facing severe economic challenges. Thousands of millionaires and entrepreneurs have relocated to Dubai because the financial climate here has become so difficult. This economic reality has hit the NHS like a freight train. The NHS is government funded, and that funding has been squeezed dry. They're laying off administrative workers. They have drastically cut the use of expensive agency nurses to fill rota gaps. Nurses in England are now flying to other parts of the UK just to find shifts. Think about what this means for international recruitment. All those perks, the flights, the accommodation, the training fees, the visa costs, the immigration skills charge, that was an investment the NHS was making. They were spending thousands of pounds per candidate. Now, they simply cannot afford it. They are so broke that even UK-trained nurses, people who graduated from British universities, are struggling to find jobs. If locals are struggling, how much harder is it for foreign nurses with accents and overseas qualifications? The third factor is a major shift in government policy. The government has explicitly stated that it wants to reduce its reliance on foreign healthcare professionals. They want to train their own people. They are now investing more money into the UK's educational system to make nursing a more attractive career for locals. The long-term plan is to build a self-sufficient workforce. So you have ethical barriers, a massive funding crisis, and a government that actively wants to hire fewer foreign workers. This is the three-headed monster that has killed the old recruitment pathway. So, what do? My first piece of advice is this: do not put all your eggs in one basket. 6 years ago, the UK was the desperate nation. Today, other countries are in that exact same position. Countries like Canada, Australia, and New Zealand are actively seeking nurses. Their processes might seem more complex, but they are where the opportunity is now. Don't let your dream of moving abroad die just because the UK door has closed. Broaden your horizons. However, if you are absolutely determined to come to the UK, perhaps because you've already started the process, there is one narrow, difficult path left. It's the one that accounts for that tiny 1% chance. It's called self-sponsorship. Self-sponsorship means you take all the financial risk. You do the process yourself. You apply for a visitor visa, you fly to the UK on your own money, you pay for your OSCE training and exam. Once you pass your OSCE and have your NMC registration PIN, you are a qualified nurse in the UK. You have a license. The only thing you don't have is UK experience. At this point, you start applying for jobs from within the UK. This completely changes the game for an employer. They no longer have to pay for your flight, your accommodation, or your training. You have massively reduced the cost and risk for them. You are no longer a complicated international project. You are a qualified nurse ready to work who just needs a visa switch. This process is incredibly daunting, which is why I recommend getting expert help. There are agencies and services specializing in this self-sponsorship route. They provide everything from IELTS and CBT training to physical OSCE training centers in the UK. Some even offer accommodation for people who come for training. This is the kind of support you need to navigate such a difficult path. And now for my final, most important tip. If you succeed with self-sponsorship and get your NMC PIN, do not just focus on the big NHS trusts. The NHS is broke. You need to shift your focus to the private sector. Search for jobs in private hospitals, in nursing homes, in care facilities. These are privately owned businesses. They are not directly affected by the government's economic crisis. They have more cash flow because they are funded by their residents and clients, not the taxpayer. They still have the money to sponsor a candidate who is already in the country. This is where the hidden opportunities are. Ultimately, you must be strategic. Times have changed. The dream of getting a fully funded relocation package from your home country is for now over. The new reality is tougher, more expensive, and requires you to take a huge leap of faith. But for that determined 1%, the self-sponsorship route, targeted at the private sector, remains the last narrow gateway to the UK.
Hey, if you find this video interesting, hit that like button. Subscribe. This is the only way YouTube can recommend this video to those that need it. Thanks for watching.